Hello everybody, good day to you guys. Welcome back to the channel. I'm really glad you guys are here. I am super glad to be here. I've been on a hiatus, sort of unannounced and unplanned, and I think I owe you guys an explanation. All right, so today we are working on a 2014 Chevrolet 1500 Silverado. It's the Texas Edition. It has 195,678 miles on the odometer with the check engine light and a few major issues. This truck has been in the shop earlier last week before I disappeared into the ether, and we've already inspected it, diagnosed it. We're gonna go through all that stuff as we proceed, but it's been inspected, it's been in the building, it's been diagnosed, it's been looked at. We've got approvals, we have parts on the way, so this is a strictly nuts and bolts mechanical type of video here. So as we get through this project, I'll explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, but first I need to explain where I've been. So naturally and obviously, I operate the Rainman Ray's Repairs YouTube channel here on YouTube. In conjunction with that, I own and operate Ray's Auto Clinic in Bradenton, Florida. Okay, it's a brick and mortar retail establishment that repairs and generally services cars and light trucks in my area. And for some people who wish to travel long range, I'll take in some distant customers as well. We've been operating out of this location here at 808 19th Avenue in Bradenton for, what, since the first of the year maybe? So 6 months or so, 8 months, 7 months? Whatever math. And we've been at another location for about 3.5 years now, and then we moved to this larger facility that I've been operating out of so far this year in 2026. Now, years ago, after I got fired and I set off on my own, it was kind of a one-man show at my shop. So I didn't create a business or a company. I first created a job that I had to work for myself. I created my own job, which was fine, but I realized that wasn't exactly sustainable, because if I got sick or injured or had a big job that occupied a bunch of physical and mental time, then there would be a deficit left over for other workflow. So I began to hire employees. And the first person that we had hired is Dave. And you guys who've been here a while, you know Dave. Dave's been working with me since the start. He's a fantastic individual, and this place would not be the same without Dave around. Like, Dave has been the cornerstone, the keystone to some of this operation regarding the back shop. When we moved locations, I quickly realized that our expenses had nearly doubled, okay? So because our expenses had doubled, I figured out we had to scale the operation. And because we had to scale, I decided it was time to bring in more people. We had more space, I had the work available, so we brought in more people. And that has segued into a collaboration with Bearded Ford Tech here on YouTube. Some of you guys may know his channel, some of you guys may not. I'll leave a link to it down in this video's description. But my friend Anthony owns and operates the Bearded Ford Tech YouTube channel, and he usually always worked on exclusively Ford vehicles. I've got him into some other stuff now, and we're expanding the knowledge. But the man is a very solid A-level technician with I think 23 years experience in the field, which I'd say that makes you qualified. Now, Anthony and Bearded Ford Tech has been a tremendous asset here at Ray's Auto Clinic. The problem with that is Bearded Ford Tech, he lives really far away in North Carolina, about 650 miles from here to be exact. And for the past 6 months or so, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months, somewhere in there, Anthony has been commuting down to Florida, 9-hour drive, staying with me for a week, and then commuting back home, and then spending some time at home, and then commuting again. Now, that's been remarkably inefficient for a number of reasons. It's been inefficient for him, it's been inefficient for me, it's been inefficient for the store, it's been inefficient for the customers. So we realized that this arrangement was not going to be sustainable in the long term. So we had decided, and Anthony had decided, and through my encouragement and assisting as much as I could, and through his sheer amount of willpower and persistence, he decided to pack up his entire life and his entire family and relocate them down here to Bradenton, Florida, so he can work here full time as we can, grow the company and grow the operation and grow our partnership and collaboration. So last Thursday, I loaded up my big cargo trailer. I've got a 28-foot car hauler cargo trailer. It's like for a race car. You put your Crown Vic in there, maybe a set of tools, a grill, a cooler, some lawn chairs, and you go out to race day and have a good time. I have that type of a trailer. Some of you may see those in landscape trailers, but it's just a big old box on wheels that I tow behind my Dirty Max. And we loaded that guy up, I think about 5 o'clock in the morning last Thursday, and we made a beeline right up to North Carolina. So we pulled a 9-hour road trip up to NC with the trailer. We had 2 trucks, Anthony's F-150, my Silverado 3500 dually with the Duramax, along with my 28-foot cargo trailer out back. It's 28 by 8 by, I think, 10, so it's got some square footage in it, okay? It's a 3,600 pound trailer. We're gonna get to that later, empty weight, okay? So we run up there, get to Anthony's house, park the rigs, go to sleep, because we were up at 5 in the morning, 10-hour drive, long day, a lot of lines to count on the road. I was fatigued from driving the truck that far. Anthony was tired from driving the truck that far. And we had both worked all week in one of the hottest weeks on record here in Florida so far this year. So we were tired because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and that kind of stuff will wear you down. But we had to do it and we got it done. So we went up there, parked the trucks, parked the trailer, and we then proceeded the next morning to take Anthony's entire house and put it inside of the trailer and in the back of my truck and in the back of his truck. And we had to go get another trailer to put behind his truck, and then we loaded that trailer as well. Well, when we got done loading the trailers, it was 101 degrees outside, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday last week. And I realized that our plan of spending the night and rolling out first thing in the morning was gonna be a no-go. It was too hot outside. We had too much weight in the trailer, and the tires, they were squatting. I think that trailer can max out at 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight. So that's going to be 5,000 pounds per axle. Each axle has 2 2,600 pound tires on them, so they're C-load tires. Again, it's just for hauling cars, not really for moving. So I got 2 axles, 10,000 pounds. I subtract 3,600, I can put in there 6,400 pounds. Maybe a little more if I load it tongue heavy, because I did have the dually, which does have the extra spring pack in the back. So I felt I had some wiggle room on the front tongue, okay? So I loaded the truck and the trailer, kind of tongue heavy. The Duramax was nice and level, no squat. The truck was just fine, but we were still too heavy out back in the trailer. So we decided to not make the run from North Carolina down to Bradenton, Tampa, Florida during the daylight, okay? Now, we did that for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's hot outside. And the interstate highway and all the other state highways and even the surface streets, they're all blacktop or asphalt, okay? Now that black asphalt in the Florida sun, that stuff's gonna get hot. We're talking 140, 150 degrees maybe during the heat of the day. Now your tires, those are gonna get hot, 140, 150, 160, 170 degrees. Your tires rolling are gonna get even more hotter. Now your tires braking, you're gonna get even more hotter. You see where we're going with this? I'm really, really concerned with heat buildup in the tires on the trailer because we're overloaded, a couple thousand pounds. It's a hot day, we're rolling down the interstate, generating heat, we're braking, generating heat, and I figured we were gonna overheat some tires and we were gonna lose a tire. So we decided to make the run that Friday night. So we were up all morning loading, got loaded, finished, it's sundown, and we lit out and got out of town. So we rode all night from North Carolina down to Ocala, Florida. We made it to Ocala at about 5:30 in the morning, which was kind of the smart move. It was 76 degrees during the run down in the middle of the night, and the next day we were back up in the triple digits again. I'm supremely confident that with the setup of the rig, there was no way we were gonna be able to make that run with all that weight during the day, during all the heat. It just wasn't gonna happen. So we made the run at night, no problem, spent the night. Next day, it was still hot outside, but we drove for about 20 minutes and then the rains came, which I'm like, yes, the rains are coming. All right, we're doing good here. It's gonna cool everything down. 78 degrees is where our temperatures were a couple hours that morning. As soon as the rain gets done, I'm driving along, you know, we're in the middle of the sticks somewhere. I was too tired for the interstate. Anthony was too tired to drive on the interstate, so we rode the back roads from Ocala down to Bradenton, which was supposed to add about an hour or so to the trip because slower speeds, some small towns, some red lights, stop signs, all this good stuff. Ultimately, it ended up adding about 3.5 hours to the trip because right after the rain stopped, we lost a tire in the trailer. It was the right rear out back. Smooth, blacktop, 2-lane country road. I remember I'm riding along, the rain cleared up, and I could feel a jitter out back. You know, I felt a little something, and I was like, hope we're not losing a tire back there, but you know what, Anthony's back there. If we are, I'll get the call from BFT. He'll let me know that I got one aired down, okay? Another mile or so goes by, and I'm feeling a little bit of a bump, and then I realized that the bump I was feeling, I didn't feel it in the truck, okay? And I saw that the road had some little waves in it, you know, some divots or whatever, and I figured I was just feeling, you know, the road surface back there. But then once I started going over a bump and we'd go and I'd feel a bump out back, but then the truck didn't feel a bump as we went over, so I knew something was going on out back. As soon as I felt that we had an issue out back, my phone rings. It's BFT. He's like, yep, you're flinging rubber all over the place. You're rolling smoke out of your right rear. So we pulled the truck over and it made a left at the first available. It's just a no lane, blacktop, whatever country road. There's nothing around. There's one vacant house over here. There's some cornfields over there. There's some cows over here, some trees back over there, and just an empty road, an empty road, an empty road. We're in the middle of nowhere. And it's 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday. It's Saturday at this point. 3:30 in the afternoon, Saturday morning. Was it Saturday? What, Thursday, Friday? I don't even know. No, seriously, I actually don't remember. That 62 hours we were gone felt like 6 days. It must have been Saturday. I just had like a super brain fart. So anyway, it's the middle of the afternoon. People are closing, businesses are closing. The tire stores that are anywhere nearby, which is 30 minutes away, they're closing at 5, it's 3:30, and we're stuck here. Can't get the tools out. Tools are packed in. So Anthony unhitches his trailer. He runs out to the next town that we had just come out of, about 12 miles back, grabs a floor jack and grabs a 19mm socket and a breaker bar so we can get the tire off. While he's out getting some tools for us, I'm digging pieces of wood out from the back of the truck somewhere so I can make a ramp to get the trailer up onto using the front wheel that's still good, so when he does get back with the jack, we can get that under the axle. Because with that trailer tire gone, the wheel is sitting nearly on the ground, so there's almost no space under the axle to get a jack or a tool under. So I had to elevate the trailer some to get the space necessary to squeeze the jack in, to jack the wheel up, to take the wheel off, so then we can address the next problem, is getting a tire on this wheel. So Anthony, he drives off, leaves his trailer there in the middle of the road, comes back with the jack. I get spacing set up while he's gone. Meanwhile, I'm also on the phone. I'm calling every mom and pop that's in kind of the area, and they're all just super small places, but since it's a Saturday, they're closing down or they don't have a tire. Nobody's got a 15-inch trailer tire. Nobody even had a 15-inch regular tire. I would have put a truck tire on it for all I cared at that point. I just needed rubber on the road. But nobody's got one. The only tire I could get a hold of was from a Mavis, which was 36 miles away from our location out in Claremont near Disney World. So after Anthony gets back with the tools, I've already got the tire found. I called them, told them, pull it off the shelf, we're coming to get it. They're acting like they can't put a tire on because we're gonna get there at 4:30 and we close at 5. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. You're putting this tire on, bro. I remember I was talking to the guy and he tried to act like they couldn't do it unless I got there at 4, and I said we'll be there at 4:40, And he's like, I don't know if we can get it done. And I said, okay, well, you want to transfer me back to your corporate dispatch people, and I'll let them know you can't do it, and we'll see if they can send me somewhere else. He changed his tune. He's like, oh, okay, oh, hang on a second. If you get here before 5, I think we can take care of you. They wanted to leave, and they didn't want to stay late for one tire. But we kind of had an emergency. And I'm sorry, tire guys. I was a tire jockey once. That's your job, especially if you're at a tire shop near any kind of highway or travel area. You're gonna get the last minute shredded trailer tires that come in on the weekend when you're trying to go home, drink a beer. Sorry, man. Whoever put those tires on, I appreciate you boys. I gave you a mess, but it is what it is. You saved my butt, much appreciated. Unfortunately, you know, when you're a tire jockey, that's the stuff you gotta deal with. Anyway, so Anthony managed to get this tire put on the wheel before they closed up. He then trucks this tire back over to where I'm sitting with my 4-ways on in the middle of the road. We slapped the thing on and we made it the last hour and a half or so, 2 hours back to my house, at which point I pulled in, I shut the truck down, and I slept. And I slept, and I slept, and I slept, and then when I got up, I hydrated, and I ate, and then I slept some more, because it had been an extreme physical activity. We had just pulled off the run of all runs. Like,
you mean to tell me we're going to drive from here to Texarkana, Texas, and back to here in 28 hours? It's only 900 miles there and 900 miles back.
Now, I have zero footage of this road trip. Running around with a camera, trying to make a video, trying to narrate was not a safe thing to do. I was running a very heavy rig. I think that truck was probably tipping the scales at about 23,000 pounds. It would not have been responsible of me to try to film anything. It would not have been responsible of me to try to narrate anything, because all of my workload was kept on, or was spent on keeping the truck safe, keeping aware of what I was doing, keeping aware of traffic around me, road conditions, weather conditions, temperatures were a big deal on this one. And I didn't feel it was appropriate to try to record, narrate, do a live stream, anything like that while we were out there on the big road. It wasn't a safe thing to do, so I made the call. So to answer everyone's question, where have I been? That's what I've been doing. I made a move. I paused the content because I had to go and facilitate this move from North Carolina down here, because Ray's Auto Clinic needed the scale. We needed the expansion. I needed the staff. We needed to get the system fully functioning, not partially functioning, and it was time to do it. I actually thought I had the energy to kind of make some content as soon as I got back. I didn't have it. I wasn't going to try to do it, and I just figured it was best to just kind of stay dark for now, take care of me, get my rest back up. That way, when I can come back to work, I've got my full faculties, I've got my energy, and I'm ready to get back in the saddle and get back after it. So that's what we're doing today. So forgive the long-winded explanation. I know if people have wanted to know where I've been, I realize that there's new people here that couldn't give a turkey what that story was about, and if you stayed or didn't skip through it, much appreciated. But I hope that I've kind of explained enough of the situation for everybody, and now we can get back to our normal mode of operation, which brings us right here back to this Chevrolet Silverado that we're sitting inside of. So Lauren was walking around in front of me while I was talking to you guys. She needed something. What's up, darling?
I just want to let you know your coffee's all done.
Yes, I love coffee.
But
Thank you.
You probably wouldn't want to drink it anymore.
No, I can't drink coffee inside of customers' vehicles. That's unethical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's ready for you.
All right, thank you. I'm coming in.
Do you like my new shoes? They're
yes.
$15.
$15? Very thrifty. I much appreciate it. See, there's Dave. He's still here. You guys are wondering where Dave's been. He's still here. He just doesn't like to be on the camera. Dave's a private person. I'm a private person too, but we all have a public life and a private life, I guess, right? All right, so I'm trying to maneuver this thing in to get her racked up. We're gonna go ahead and pull this truck into my first stall over there, and we're gonna do some major tear down. Tight squeeze right there, see that? We're doing some tear down on this thing. This truck has, I think, a P06E symptom 00 trouble code. If that's incorrect, I'll just make an edit with text up here. But it's got an oil pressure solenoid circuit open. DTC. That's part of the issue with this check engine light right here. The truck runs fine. it's got oil pressure. It's not gone anywhere, but we've seen excessively high engine oil pressures on this last time I was looking at it. The oil pump on this engine has a solenoid on it. It's an electronic solenoid operated by the ECM. It's what's called a variable vane oil pump, which means the ECM can control the engine oil pressure. For example, down here at engine idle, when we do not need a boatload of oil pressure, the ECM can actually dial that pump back, and so the pump will make a reduced engine oil pressure level. That's there to reduce parasitic load on the crankshaft and ultimately cause the engine to burn less fuel when it does not need to be burning fuel, okay? Well, that system has a flaw, and short of a broken wire in the timing cover, it's going to need an oil pump replacement, okay? Let me show you. I've got an engine sitting over here in the stand. I'll show you what we're talking about. Let's climb on out real quick. But before we go, find that lever. Let us popping the hood. Ding, ding, ding. Alrighty, so right here under the bonnet, there's our Chevrolet goodness. This is a 4.3 liter V6 LT based engine. It is remarkably similar to this 5.3 liter LT based engine. This is the L83. This is the engine that came out of my wife Lauren's Tahoe over there. I've got some videos about this Tahoe engine. I'll leave links to them also in this video's description because it's very similar technology. But what the deal is with this vehicle over here, let me pull the oil pan off real fast. And let me pull the timing cover off real fast. See, we got this wire right here. Let's pull this off real fast too. Timing cover. That's the solenoid we had mentioned. That's where the wire connects. This is the oil pump on this engine. It's driven from the crankshaft. That's the inside gear. As the crank turns, it runs the gears in that pump. That pump will suction oil through this port here, which leads to the pickup inside of the pan. So that's where we suck the oil up, and then it pumps it into the block through the galley right over here. Now that solenoid, controlled by this wire, connected to this connector, which connects to the engine control module, is what allows the ECM to determine how much oil pressure we're going to be looking for out of the pump. This vehicle over here has a problem with that circuit. So like I said, short of that wire being damaged, the problem is going to lie right here on this solenoid. So it's going to need a solenoid. Now, this is not serviceable. You're not allowed to change that solenoid because GM said so. So you've got to replace the engine oil pump. In order to replace the engine oil pump, we got to take the engine oil pan off. In order to take the pan off, we got to get the timing cover off. So what we're going to do is we're going to diagnose the engine oil pressure circuit code, and then we're going to proceed to service this nearly 250,000 mile V6 engine over here. This guy does long range commuting with this truck throughout the state of Florida, which is why he chose the 6-cylinder. That's also why we're not going to be deleting the DOD/AFM. You guys should know about that by now, but these things are equipped with a cylinder deactivation, so this 6-cylinder can turn into a 4-cylinder. That 8-cylinder can also turn into a 4-cylinder. Not anymore on that one, but this one will be retaining the DOD system. We're not pulling the cylinder heads off. We are going to do a timing job on it, and we're going to diagnose the oil pressure issue, and we're probably going to install a new oil pump. Now, some of the other stuff this guy wants to do while it's apart is he wants me to pull this intake manifold off and do a walnut blasting on the intake valves themselves. That is a direct injection engine right here, okay? So what that means is that the fuel injectors, I've got some over here. The fuel injectors, they inject directly into the combustion chamber, very, very similar to a diesel engine. This is a high pressure fuel rail, several hundred PSI, and these run right through the cylinder heads into the combustion chamber. Now, the reason that we do that is it's very, very efficient for fuel atomization. This is where we're starting to get some of these higher fuel economy numbers. The problem with that system is the valves will end up building up a bunch of carbon on them, and it'll restrict airflow into the cylinders themselves. So my customer would like me to remove this intake manifold, visually inspect the valves, and then we're gonna see if there's a bunch of carbon on there. If there is, we're gonna blast it off with walnut shell to remove said carbon, thus restoring engine performance. Now, the experiment's gonna be is this catch can right here. They've installed a catch can on the PCV system. That's positive crankcase ventilation. Now what that's supposed to do is capture all the oil that's atomized and floating around inside the crankcase, and it gets that way from splash. It just oil splashing everywhere, and it forms like a mist, okay? That mist is floating around in the air, and the crankcase ventilation system is supposed to vent that pressurized mist out in the atmosphere, or it used to be in the atmosphere. Modern days, they take the vent and they plumb it back into the intake stream. That way the engine can take that atomized oil and just burn it up. That way we're not just spewing oil out everywhere, making a bunch of nasty stuff in the air. Now, these catch cans, those are designed to separate that oil from the air, contain the oil. That way when it returns the air back to the intake, it's not as contaminated as it was previously. And the thought is since the air is not contaminated, it'll have less of an effect and less of a buildup on the valve stems themselves inside of the cylinder heads. Alrighty, so we're gonna focus on this catch can business and intake for the remainder of this video. So first things first, we need to take this air baffle business off. There's a hose clamp here and another one way off over here on the left. We pull those clamps down. Thing will separate. There is a positive crankcase vent tube here to the passenger side valve cover, and the V8 Chevrolets have another one over here on this side. This one does not seem to have the second vent tube. So let's pull that first one off there. Pop that guy out. Now it's still hanging on over to the left, but we just give it a bit of a twist and a pull, and she pops right off of there. See that? So this, see how there's all this volume in here? That's just like an air baffle type of volume. It keeps noises down on the intake. Some people don't want noise, and some people take this away and throw it away because they want the noise. This affords us our first look at the internals on this engine. Let's open up the throttle plate here and take a gander inside. A lot of times you see a bunch of engine oil sitting in there. This is looking pretty clean. I've got high hopes for this catch can system. That belt's looking kind of old. It's been running there for a while. It's actually worn out on the smooth side. It's awesome. So, the first thing I think we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this catch can out of here. That way we can dissect it a little bit further. That's probably a vacuum leak right there, no worries. So we've got two tubes here. One of them runs to the intake manifold. This is our vacuum pull side. And then this tube goes back right here into the valve cover, which is part of the positive crankcase ventilation system, right? This thing's bolted on with a 110mm nut right there with that little bracket. So I'm just gonna pull the whole bracket right off. We got a 10mm wobble bit. Not very tight. All right. So I mentioned it earlier, the purpose of this device is to take in our PCV air that has misted oil floating around in it, atomized oil, and it's going to route it through this can, and then as it routes through the can will collect the oil and it'll send the clean air back into the engine. Now, if we look through this little sight glass here, see that oil in there? This can does contain some oil. I'm trying to figure out how to get into it so we can drain it out. And usually these things, the bottom of the can will just unscrew, but this one appears to be bolted on. So this is kind of a higher maintenance type of item. We have to unbolt it, maybe from the bottom or from the top here to get it apart. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this down because I need to see kind of how it functions, and more importantly, you guys need to see how this thing functions. Now, this can, like I said, appears to be bolted on. I would assume they would unthread to make it easier to change, but apparently not so much. This appears to be some kind of a filter. And the hole in it has been filled up with, looks like orange silicone RTV. So the filter has been disabled. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was causing an air leak. I'm not sure what that little guy is for right there. A little plug. But that's not, I don't think, the way to drain this out. I'm going to disassemble the unit. We need to see the internals. So I've got a Torx 10 right here. Let's pull this thing down. It's got 4 screws, and I'm assuming there's an O-ring seal in there. Number 3. Okay, one more. You know, people often ask what I think about catch cans, and I think they're probably fine, but user beware. These could cause some kind of a check engine light if it disturbs the air-fuel ratio. And additionally, this is a maintenance item. Okay, you've got to drain these things periodically. And you can't expect your oil change people to do it. That's going to be kind of a hard no. All right, so looking inside, let me find some illuminators. Looking in here, we've got a lot of crustomatic buildup on this. There's some flakes in there. I can see some pieces of metal where they drilled the holes for machining on this, but I'm not seeing how. Oh, it's broken. Hang on a second. Let's go. Let's pour this business out real quick into a cup. Yeah, this thing's broken internally. Here, we'll just dump this out into here. All right. Oh, lost the gasket. All right, what do we have down in the hole? We've got gravity. Got a bunch of sludge in there and a broken piece of the stem, which is supposed to go here. So this catch can is actually no longer functioning because you've got to have this stem. See, when air is drawn in to the chamber, it's then going to suction air in through this little stem, right? And that air coming in through the stem is also going to bring with it some of the oil. When the oil and air mixture that's coming in through the stem meets the bottom of the can and or the fluid that's in the can, it's going to separate the air, and the air is going to bubble out through the liquid, just drawing in fresh air with no liquid through the thing. With this thing broken off, that filter isn't able to occur, and we've lost function or partial function of this can just due to faulty design. There appears to be some other pieces of debris in there as well. Can't really tell. Maybe it's all caked in. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that's crustomatic. Hang on a second. Let's scrape that out. Gravity. Yeah, so although it appears that this can has failed, it's also succeeded in its stated goals. Look at all this nasty coming out of here. That's horrific. So if this can was not in place, effectively your engine would be ingesting all of this contaminant. This is carbon and filth and dirt and nasty contaminant that's floating around in the spent engine oil. So this can was at some point saving this engine from ingesting this, but since the thing has become damaged, it is no longer able to function properly. It's probably still serving some type of function, but it's not working to its maximum capacity. So there's a huge positive to running a catch can. The reason that the manufacturers don't do it is simply the maintenance of the can. You've got to, again, periodically take these apart, disassemble them, clean them out, and more importantly, you want to make sure they don't overfill. Because if they overfill, you run potential of your engine just sucking in a bunch of engine oil, and that's not good. You don't want to try to run your engine on engine oil. You want to run it on gasoline and air. I realize that sounds self-explanatory, but this is the mid-2020s and you never know these days because people do things. So I figured I'd just state the obvious. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the intake manifold words off, and we're gonna see if this same amount of carbon right here exists on the intake valves on the engine. Okay, back at the vehicle, let's start some disassembly here. I wanna pull off these hoses, that's in the way. We need to start disconnecting electrical connectors. Pull that guy down. One on the nadir back here. There we go. And we'll start pulling connectors off of the plastics. That one self-broke. That's good. Made my life easier. I saw it. Pull these coil connectors off. We're gonna need the space that these connectors are occupying in order to remove our manifold. That's Old English. It represents a phrase of many folds. Get it? Manifold, many folds. It's a pipe with many folds. Get it? Got it? Good. Same thing here on the driver's side. I pop up those little red tabs you can't see from your angle at your dangle. Pull these guys loose. There we go. Now, if you guys saw my my Tahoe video that's relating to that engine that I showed you at the beginning of this video, you will know that that engine is removed because I had a failed fuel injector. It's a direct injection fuel injector. We talked about that earlier. Now that DI injector was stuck in the cylinder head. Now my guy, our customer here, he wanted to replace the fuel injectors in this while the intake manifold is removed, while we're in there, kind of deal. So we're going to attempt to extract these fuel injectors after this manifold is off, just for a preventative repair type of situation. Now my customer is well aware of the risks of the damaged fuel injector scenario. They're aware it could be stuck, and I may have to remove cylinder heads if we discover that they don't come out. And again, if you want to see any specifics about stuck direct injection fuel injectors on Chevrolet or GMC engines, please reference my previous video on that LT53 V8, and it goes into extensive detail on the matter. Now, let's get this connector loose right here. That's on there. I need a steppy stool. You gotta push that little white thing in. That releases the clips. Maybe it's the other side I gotta push. Come on. Come on! Ow! And that's how you fillet your finger. Plastics. Plastics hurt more mechanics than anything. Made me bleed my own blood. Ow. Okay, so with the wires and the harnesses out of the way, this manifold is primed to be removed. Now, you see right there, we got a 10 mil bolt. There's gonna be two of them there, and there might be another one. I'm not sure if there's 4, 5, or 6 on these manifolds, but we're gonna find out. So we'll use a 1/4 inch drive electric ratchet with an extension swivel, socket. There you go, words. Let's go in there and spin these guys out. I can see some of them I can just kind of feel it through the hole. Some of them both. You cannot remove this plastic cover. It looks like you can because there's 4 bolts on it, but I don't think it comes out through the firewall. I've tried that on the V8s and they just don't come out, so I assume that they don't come out here on the 6s as well. Shorter extension, that ought to do it. Might be one more back there lurking. See if I can find it. Maybe there's not one. There is. Yeah, I don't think there's one back there. Good. Right. So let's just go over here to the passenger side. We'll pull those fasteners out. Same tactic. Down through the hole, find the bolt. Yeah, 4 per side, I think. There it is. Yipper. She's free-ish. Not all the way, because there's a harness attached out back to the back of the plastic. We need to go reach around and pluck the connectors off. All right, hang on. Let's get back here and pop a couple more clips off that harness. There's 3 or 4 or 17 of them. Looks like this one's just got 3. There we go. We release and reveal. We'll pull this thing right out of here. Whoa, I see some carbon in those intakes. All right, so we're over here. Intake manifold is on my bench, clearly, and I'm taking a peek inside the runners. Now, we do see there is presence of engine oil around those gaskets. There is oil that is flowing through this intake manifold, right? There's some right there. A little bit right over here on that gasket. You guys see that? So that catch can, that broken catch can, was not keeping this oil free. There is some buildup that we see on this intake. So let's go over and take a look at the valves next, inside of the ports on the motor, okay? Now, from the outside, we can see there is carbon buildup on these runners. See how we got a clean spot there? That one's clean back over there. Clean. This one here, that's got carbon all over the walls. Carbon all over the walls, carbon all over the walls, right? Now, looking down inside the hole, we can see the valve. Let's get the angle for our dangle proper here. There you go. You see the valve down there, right? You see the valve stem? There is quite a bit of carbon building up on that valve, okay? Now, this is not actually that bad. Look at this one here. That's fairly clean considering the mileage, the age, the amount of runtime. This thing's probably using 87 octane fuel. And we've got a broken catch can. Yeah, I've seen way worse. There is buildup on these valve stems, but when compared to a non-catch can engine, I think that's pretty good, all things considered. So we do have some buildup on there, but it's nothing crazy. I am of the opinion that when this catch can was functioning properly, it did in fact mitigate the amount of this crusty, chunky carbon business that was able to deposit itself on those valves. So the danger to that is all that buildup on the top of that valve that's going to restrict our airflow in there. It's going to choke out our horsepower. It's going to choke out our efficiency. Now, this being a V6 in this truck, the guy said he bought it with this engine for the efficiency. Like I said earlier, he does a lot of traveling over the road, long range throughout the state of Florida. And so having a V8 in here was not necessary, so he got the V6. That's why we're going to keep the cylinder deactivation. We want to keep some of that highway mileage up in the higher end. And that's why we're going to clean out these intake valves with the carbon cleaning system. We're going to walnut blast it. So with the regular shop vacuum, we're going to come over here and I'm gonna pull away all this sand and stuff that's on top of this little cover. I wanna vac all that away so we don't contaminate the internals with any sand. The walnut shell is actually quite soft and non-abrasive when compared to something like silica. So we do not want, or sand, I don't know why I said silica, but we do not want to allow the sand to get into the intakes because it could damage the engine after we complete the services. Loud noises. Suck all this business out of here. Goodbye, sand, most of it. So now I can pull this insulation up and away without dumping sand into the motor. There we go. And that will reveal our injectors, high pressure fuel pump, high pressure fuel lines, and of course the low pressure line right here. This fuel pump is driven off of a lobe on the camshaft inside the engine. A little lobe turns, it's like a triangle shaped lobe, and it bumps up the plunger inside of the pump. So the low pressure fuel comes in from the tank. This thing bumps it up a couple hundred PSI, sends it down the lines, splits it off, charges the rails with high pressure fuel, and then that fuel is there waiting and on standby for when the injectors are commanded open and it wants to give it the fuel spray charge into the chamber when the timing is correct. So this right here is the unknown part. What we don't know is if these injectors are gonna come out. You see, my guy said, while we're in there, we should go ahead and change some fuel injectors. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna prepare to remove these injectors. I'm gonna get the lines off of them, this one and this one here, and then we're gonna go under these fuel rails with a pry bar to see if these injectors are gonna pop out of the hole. If they're going to come out, then we should have no problem. I'll go ahead and proceed with the walnut blasting. If one of them is stuck, I gotta go back, tell my customer, hey man, we gotta pull cylinder heads off because one of these injectors is gonna break off in the hole. So we're at a point now where this job is gonna go okay, or it's gonna get remarkably more complicated in a hurry. So that being said, let's go ahead and crack our first line loose here. Fuel pressure. Next line. We'll let that dissipate. Stanky. Hey, is it me or does gasoline smell different after COVID? You guys let me know in the comment section. Does gas smell different to you guys after the bioweapon, or did they change the gas formula and that's why it smells different? I'm curious. I could take an opinion poll. Here we go. That's our splitter line. These are supposed to be one-time use only. This little ball at the end, it's like a crush ball. And when you crush it down, when you tighten it, that's where the seal forms. And it's theorized that you can get a high pressure fuel leak if you reuse it. And that high pressure leak will come out as a mist, creating an explosive, a literally explosive environment in your engine compartment. And if you explode your engine, that would be bad. All right, we need 13 millimeters of socket right here. Take the mount bolts loose. 3 per side, I believe. By the way, these guns are brushless. The motors are not throwing sparks, therefore I will not blow up the fuel. If this was a brushed motor, the motor would throw sparks at the brushes, which could ignite the fuel, which would, again, be bad. All right, moment of truthfulness. We're coming in with the extra large angular pry bar. I'm gonna get under the rail here. Try to pop these injectors out of the hole. This is not encouraging so far. All right, that one moved. It's doing what the other one did, where it looked like it was gonna come out, and it felt like it, and then all of a sudden we're all done. Let's try this side. That one came up. Let's try this guy right here. That one came up. Come on, number 3. You gonna come out? I can't get under that one just yet. I think that one's gonna come out of there. Let's go back to this side. Oh, I don't know. Okay, we got somewhere. That one's out, this one's coming out. That one out back's concerning me. I think it just moved. Yeah, it's gonna come up. Yep, she's moving. Good. Very good, all right. Wow, that's filthy. But we got it off. Good deal. A little bit of pry bar action on this other rail. We're just gonna pull those guys right out of the head. That's good. Oh, so much more better than the other way. All right. Yeah, these are super crustomatic. That's nasty. It's sand making its way down into the hole right here. There's these little Teflon seals. I think they're Teflon, but these seals here keep the combustion pressure in and the sand and dirt out. Yep, got some carbon here on the bottom of that. There's not a chance you can see it, but there's little holes right here at the tip of this thing. That's where this fuel is sprayed out of. It's almost invisible to the naked eye. Super, super small, tiny holes. Okay, let's open up R2 and take a look at the internals. This is very similar to a shop vac. Little vacuum motor in there. It sucks in air, runs through this filter. The air comes in through the vacuum hose right here, okay? So under the filter, inside of the container, what we've got is just a bunch of walnut shell, a ground up walnut shell. It's abrasive enough to clean engine parts, yet forgiving enough to not damage engine parts. So the way this works is we connect shop air to right down over here. That shop air is gonna blast through this hose and it's gonna create a venturi right here at the nozzle at the end of the gun. That venturi is gonna create a negative or a low pressure inside of the feed tube, which feeds into the base of this guy right here, okay? So when this thing is on, we're pressurizing, creating a vacuum, sucking out the walnut shell, putting it into the pressurized airstream, blasting it out of the end of the gun, blasting whatever is we want to remove the carbon away from. At the same time, the vacuum motor is sucking on the other end of the chamber, pulling all of those shells back into the bottom of the hopper through the vacuum hose side and recycling them so they can be blasted through on another cycle. That's how this particular machine functions in a nutshell. So let's reattach that guy. We'll take our shop air over here. Clean that off. Gravity. And this guy, like I said, plugs in right here. Okay. And then back at the business end, should have some spray. There we go. So here's kind of the deal with this situation. The actual cleaning procedure of these valves requires that the valve to be in a closed position, because we don't want to blast walnut shell into the combustion chambers, because we'll just fill up the combustion chambers. So what we need to do is go down to the crankshaft and turn the engine over. You have to bar it over with a wrench until we can visually see that the valve is fully closed on whatever particular cylinder we're working on. At that point, we can go in there and blast it out and get it clean, and then roll the engine over and move on to the next cylinder. Okay, 24 millimeters of socket coming down. We're gonna fit this onto the center bolt on the crankshaft down below, and that'll give us a tool to turn the crank so we can get these valves closed. Okay, there we go. So we're here in the number 1 hole, looking down at the valve seat area. I can visually see that this valve appears to be closed, right? But I'm gonna bar this around just a little bit just to verify that, because they can be slightly open but have the appearance of being closed. If it starts to open a little bit, I just saw something move. It did start to open. I'm gonna back this crank back off and let that valve fully seat, because it is, it's in the right position here. Okay, backing off just a little bit. I'm moving the crank, but that valve is not moving. That tells me that this piston is near top dead center, and that valve there is fully seated and closed. So now we are good to go to blast that one. Now, when we blast that, the machine is supposed to recover the majority of the walnut shell, but some of it will escape, which is why we have plugs in the rest of the intakes. We'll rotate the plugs out as we move cylinders. So here's how this is gonna go. I'm gonna spin you guys around when we fire up the blaster machine. I'm gonna show you in real time blasting out that one particular cylinder. We just saw the before of it, and we're gonna go back in and see the after of it. I'm not gonna show you guys the whole process of all 6 cylinders, because that's tedious and aggravating. This is gonna take me about an hour and a half to do all of these, but we're gonna condense that down into just a couple of minutes. I'll do some high speed, I'll do one live action, and then after that, we're gonna skip ahead to the end result. Sound good? All right. Okay, let's set up the vacuum end adapter right here. See, we got the big end on it, but we need to have some kind of fitting that sort of closes off that gap. That way some of that, walnut stuff doesn't fly out and just contaminate the whole area in general. Now, there's a hole in this boot right here. That hole is where this little stem's gonna go down into, and that's gonna let me drive my blasting. So I'm gonna make some loud noises. We're gonna fire up the vacuum. I'm gonna start blasting in there. It's not a tremendous amount of visuals, like I said, so we're gonna do a before and an after. This one's live action, and the rest of them, we're gonna do just cutscene on those to go ahead and get through everything. So, loud noises, powering on R2-D2. All right. Yeah. Send it. Getting all the way at the bottom. I'm trying to get on the back side of the valve. I'm moving it in a circular motion to get all the walls of the chamber. Give this a few minutes and see what it looks like. Power down. let's go down in there and take ourselves a peek. Okay, put our light in, moment of truth. That runner looks pretty clean. Look at that. See the stem? See the valve stem on top the face of the valve there? That guy is super clean. I do see a little bit of carbon protruding on the back side of the stem, so I'm gonna blast this a little further, but that's about a 99% improvement over the previous condition, right? Here, let's look over here at this other one. We got version 1 and version 2. Yeah, buddy. Yep. It's going to be one heck of a difference. It's a distant difference. All right, let me back up some. I'm going to put you guys down. We're going to time lapse this a little bit, I suppose. I'll throw some music in there for your entertainments, and then we're going to blast out the rest of these guys, and it's going to call it a day for me, I think. I'm losing water weight at a tremendous speed. Okay, powering back on. We just try to blast that some more to get the back side of the valve, and we are moving on to the next one. Okay, so it's about time to bar this over, but there's going to be a couple little pieces of walnut left over hanging out inside of that, like around the valve seat. So what we're going to do is just blast out some air right there to remove the rest of those chunks, and that should leave us with a full, clean, nice and pretty intake valve. By the way, for your information, just so everybody knows, because I know there's questions about that, there's no need to attempt the service on exhaust valves. Exhaust valves do not typically generate the carbon on the stems that you find on the intake valves. Let me turn my vacuum back on real quick. I can't use this gun to blast air, because if I do, it'll blast more walnut. You guys want to see? Oh, come on in. I'll give you the gander. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? That's a clean intake valve. Beautiful. I like it. So now all I've got to do, move on to the next one. I'm gonna plug this hole up. Hold that in and out like so. Then we move over here to this next unit. Let's see if that valve is open or closed. It is, I can't see. It appears to also be closed, I think. Hang on. I'm gonna stick my noggin down here and take a look. It is not closed. There's so much carbon built up on it that it looks closed, but it's not. It's not closed at all. Watch, I'll prove it. That goes into the chamber. That's the hole for, like I said, our fuel injectors. Let's give it some air. Watch this. Oh, shoved it in too tight. It's not open a lot.
Yep, but it's open enough to let some walnut go in the hole, that's for sure. So take the ratchet here, bar that over until it's shut, and then we'll blast the next one. Like I said, I'm not gonna record all those. I'm gonna set you guys down for a while so I can go in there, and then we'll get after it, blast the rest of them out, and I think that's gonna call it good for me. Okay, I think I got them all. It's all 6. Let's go, let's look in here a little bit closer with the light. You guys can take a look next. and let's see if we're done yet, or if I got to do it for a second round. All right, let's get this business out of our way right here. Get rid of these guys. Goodbye, stuff. Don't need you. That's deer tay. Oh, I'm getting tired. A lot of work. Lost a lot of weight in hydration. Okay, that's all our plugs. Let's see what we get for results. Looking beautiful to me. Next one over. Also, hang on, I'm climbing up here with you guys. Climbing up at the same time. Oh, that was looking good. I see some carbon on the face of that valve. I need to blast this one again, right at the tip of the flashlight. Okay, this one here, looking real good. Seat looks good. This was the farthest one away. That's the one I was like licking the cylinder head trying to get access to. That's looking good in there, nice and shiny. This one also nice and shiny, but we have to hit that one again. I see carbon in there. We missed some, and this one's also looking pretty good. Now, see how that valve's open now? That thing is open because the remainder of these guys, or these ones, when I went to close them, as I barred the engine over, it would have opened that valve. So I didn't blast it while it's open. But if you saw, look real close, you can see a little bit of carbon on the actual valve seat itself, okay? Now, because that valve was closed, we couldn't get the walnuts in there to blast away that carbon, and I'm not gonna open it to try to do it. But what I am gonna do is throw in some liquid cleaners into the fuel tank. Having a bit of chemical in the tank will assist in breaking up any carbon that's building up inside of the combustion chamber, like on top of the piston, for example. And I'm also, since it's about end of day, I'm gonna spray some of this power foam into the valves that are currently closed, because that will also assist in breaking up some of that carbon deposits. And then in the morning, I'll come in here and blow it all out, circulate everything around, spray the other side, let that soak all day while I'm tearing down the front of this engine right here so we can get to the timing chain and the oil pump and whatnot. And the chemicals hopefully, or will, be the final cleaning process in the actual seats on the valves over there. It's kind of overkill, but I figure while I'm in here, we may as well do it. So we're just gonna throw some of the AMSOIL power foam in there. It's actually designed for intake manifolds and throttle bodies, but I found that it's fantastic at removing carbon buildup if you give it enough time to let it do its deed. If you want any of this, go over to AMSOIL's website. There's a link in my video's description. You're gonna search for part number Alpha Papa Foxtrot Sierra Charlie. That's APFSC. Apple, Papa, Fox, Son, Chris. There you go, for the non-phonetic types. You like that non-phonetic there, Johnny boy? Yep. You know what I meant.
I do.
I translated it for all people. I'm inclusive. Okay, so all these ports are in the closed position with the exception of our number 1 cylinder. So we'll do that one later. I'm just gonna give these guys a bit of a shot. Fill that up, it's gonna foam out and expand, break down all that nasty, and we'll clean it out in the morning. So we got ourselves a clean set of valves there, guys. What do you think? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Is it nonsense of a service, or does this thing have any value? I believe it has value. Did it to mine, I'll do it to others. I won't do it to BMWs though, some of you guys with the twin turbo Beamers, because you got to pull the engines out to do that. So if you just came from the dealership and they want like $15,000 to do this service in your BMW, I'm not your guy, really sorry, but I don't do engine out work on Europeans. It's just not my bag. So can't help you on that front. Anyway, guys, appreciate you guys watching this video. Let me know what you think about it, as always, in the comment section down below. While you're down there, check out this video's description. You'll find some associated links for the products like we had just used here today. I don't have a link for that thing, but you can get one on Amazon if you want. Anyway, check out the links, check out the other video about the LT53 if you wish. I'll leave that linked in this video's description as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, in a video, in a transmission. For now.